With the recent rework, this guy has the potential to be the tankiest hero in the game, period. Of course, we are talking about Steel with his whole ablative new passive that gives him crazy ability armor. He has some potential. There's also an interesting synergy between that passive and a special card. This gave me an idea to kind of focus with Steel on two things. He has a great engage tool, and then after that, great utility with hopefully some tankiness as well. So this is what we are doing here with a build that I've called Captain Canada. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a hero deck and guide. I am Sylphin. Of course, we are looking at Steel here. Captain Canada, Captain America, reference to my Captain Steel. It's like a double reference. Anyways. So we're going for the Centurion because he ends up being frontline. He ends up being a tank with some damage potential as well in this deck. Of course, just get the Centurion. So we have some options here. You can go for the health potion healer token in the off lane, or you can go for health potion Scout's War Shepherd's File for the safe lane, or add the circlet of health in the safe lane. So it depends what you want to do. As we've left that open. So in either case, you have the Guardian's Ward as your dummy ward to go place that down, and then on either case you go into the Guardian's Ward here as your first ward. You can upgrade that if you want. Go into Circlet of Health, etc. Or if you don't need that ward, especially in the off lane, you go for the Silver Spear. You do have 2 healer tokens in case you don't have 3 CP, makes it an easier transition. You have the Silver Spear with some more health regen. After this Silver Spear, then you can maybe finish off this Guardian's Ward in the off lane, go into an Adamant Edge or the Empyrean Mask, and then we have kind of a whole bunch of options. Yes, you have this Adamant Edge, but you also have this Quenching Scales if you are the support as a option. Then you go into the final build, which is this Strong Guardian's Ward, Thick Blood. You have Jewel of the Apostle, which we'll talk about later. We have a Teleblink. You have a Thermobond with here, and the Berry of Will. So that is the full endgame deck. The Thermobond, Berry of Will, Teleblink, Jewel of the Apostle, Thick Blood, and this Guardian's Ward. So here in the early game, go out, place your dummy ward, and then you can get these camps. Depending on how aggressive the enemy duo is being, you either start at the one close to you or the one farther away. Do both, do one of them. It's really up to you depending on what the enemy duo is doing. I get the Bull Rush just to help just a wee bit with the 2 camps, as you get level 2 really quickly. As long as you don't take too much damage in this opening scenario, like you see here, about half health, you get level 2, as you see, very quickly. Now, depending on the enemy duo, you can kind of choose what you want to get. Now, in this scenario, with the Revenant and the Phase, I chose to go for our right-click, our shield. It depends if you... It depends on what, what the enemy duo is. If there's tons of projectiles, like there is here, with the Revenant's basic attacks and his Obliterate, you can get his right-click, boom, you can just put out your shield and kind of mitigate everything like that. If they don't have very many projectiles, if it's like a Decker and a Sparrow or something, you can very easily get your E, which is this new passive, the Ablative Shielding, to give him that that armor against those those high damage kind of abilities that do a few things. So now, what are these abilities? As you can see there, I use that to try to mitigate that Obliterate. Now, what are his abilities? Well, his Bull Rush is his Q, which is the first one that we started off with, and he rushes forward about 1,200 units and hits enemies away. So this is basically his basically his one of his CC abilities. You can really use this to hit enemies away from your friendly allies, or hit them away. You know, try to control them, hit them into unfavorable you know, positions, stuff like that. So here I was like, nope, get out of here, stop that. I'm going to use this for the basic attacks and the obliterate. You can see how that works there. The tower goes down really, really quickly against a Revenant here. Revenant's a great Steel doesn't really do too well against a Revenant or Phase, so to be expected, but really this is only going to hurt them hurt them in the end anyways. So his Bull Rush is quite nice. It deals quite a bit of damage, 75 to 210 with 0.8 power scaling. So it has potential to do quite a bit of damage, and I was incorrect as it has 1600 unit range, so quite far. As you can see, it provides him a good capability of escaping. Steel's actually really quite good with escaping, as you can kind of see here. He is really quite good at that. So he is fairly slippery as long as you have that Bull Rush. Now the second ability we saw Scott is this right click, and that is his Bulwark. You kind of put out this huge shield, and it locks you facing a certain direction, which is very important. I kind of screw up with that a few times in this game. Whichever direction you're facing, you're locked into that, so you can't turn. You can only strafe side to side. So make sure that you're facing the way that you want your shield to be before you use it. Blocks projectiles, stuff like that. Projectile abilities, very, very, very powerful, and it increases in duration the more you upgrade it. Not really something that I would upgrade too much, as you really can. It's a great ability to kind of like, oh, something's coming, boom, you can deploy it like that. It also slows enemies that touch it, although that very seldom now is that overly useful. Now, the third ability that you saw Scott get in this scenario is his ablative armor. It is those four things you see here, because you gain 4 stacks of armor that you get every 6 to 3 seconds. So that's every 6 seconds at level 1 and every 3 seconds at level 4. You gain 50 to 95 ability armor per stack, for a total of 200 to 380 ability armor. Every time you take ability damage, though, 1 charge, you lose a stack. Meaning, you know, if you're getting hit all the time, like Phases E, for example, her lance really quickly takes off his stacks, which is why she's a good counter to him, as well as the obliterate is so many projectiles really works well. So Steel works great with very few projectile, high damage casters. So against a Phase and this Revenant, not really working too well. So obviously this gives him tremendous ability, tremendous capability to mitigate ability damage, which is why you're going to see later on we have a whole bunch of physical armor. Now, when you're upgrading the abilities, I chose to go for the E, just because you get that ability armor. It's going to be doing a lot of ability damage against me, so I'm going to upgrade that first. Try to help with that, mitigate the damage that the enemy team has here. Now, the last ability we get is his ultimate. Very, very powerful. It's called Shield Slam. It deals 210 to 430 damage with 0.9 power scaling. It can definitely hurt if you put power on him. And you see me use it here. Kind of come in here, try to knock back this Phase so that we can totally obliterate her, get her off the equation here as we take down this tower. So there you go. There's a great showcase of his ultimate and what you want to do with it. He's a fantastic, engaging frontline hero that can secure plays, secure wombo combos, and take people out just like that. As long as your team can follow up with it, it's fantastic. So the cooldown is 90 to 60 seconds. You can use it very quickly in the late game, and mana cost really nothing to worry about. It is phenomenal. It doesn't have that long of a range, only about 900 unit range, so you have to be really close. That is the reason why we're getting a teleblink later on, so we can blink forward. We can blink forward and then use our ultimate to really surprise the enemy team. You gotta be close. Pretty much you need a teleblink on Steel to teleblink forward, close that gap, and then you can use your ult to engage with. So here, the teleblink really helps eliminating this Revenant. I'm a little late dealing with a lane, and then we come in and completely obliterate that Revenant. We continue the press. I'm trying to think of how to use my Bull Rush appropriately. Remember, it pushes people away, so I have to get behind the enemy in order to hit them back to my enemy. So I'm trying back to my allies. Trying to think. I'm trying to, like, I gotta get there. My teleblink. I'm like, do I use it? And here I am trying to block projectiles there for my team. You saw my shield. People were behind me, trying to do that. Kind of be the shield for my team. Did well. Got the phase pick. She thought she could turn it around, but she couldn't. Now, we get that health potion and the healer token absolutely in the off lane. Super duper important. We had another healer token, but we got rid of it because the duo had left ours. They had left our lane. We weren't going to take that much damage. Instead, got the Guardian's Ward. Absolutely need it with some good damage. There is some early game damage potential that you can do with Steel. And then that teleblink. Obviously, huge potential with the teleblink into your ultimate. So that's why we get it so quick in this game. This little engagement here just showcases how you need follow-up. Yeah, I see the potential. I missed the Greystone. I wanted to hit my ultimate in there, but there's no follow-up. With only the Bellica and the phase here, there's really no follow-up. So unfortunately, the three pretty good damage dealers here take me down, as I do something that you will want to do as well. You will want to use your shield to reduce incoming damage, but it doesn't do that. It only blocks projectiles. So you don't use your shield just to reduce damage. It doesn't. It blocks projectiles, which, I mean, there's 3 melee attackers there attacking me. It's not going to do something. Yeah, it's going to slow people, but try not to use it as a flinch because it's just not how it works. Now, the next card we've gotten here is the Empyrean Mask and the Jewel of the Apostle. Now, why do we get the Jewel of the Apostle? What it does is you get 35% of your ability armor as power. Because Steel can get up to 380 ability armor, that is a lot of power. You can delete people when you use it in combination with his ult to do stuff like that. And you have the Empyrean Mask here, which is absolutely fantastic in providing you with flexibility. It gives you power so that you can have the power activated, so when you use Jewel of the Apostle you have even more damage. Once you engage and once you're taking damage, you easily switch that over to grant you armor, or if you're just in lane using your Bull Rush to kind of clear lanes faster, you put it on mana regen. It is absolutely incredible on pretty much all order heroes. So that's why we're getting Empyrean Mask and Jewel of the Apostle, because we are fulfilling our initiation role with the teleblink and a little bit of health on the Guardian's Ward as kind of the front line. And we're still doing our laning kind of thing with flexibility and the Empyrean Mask that kind of it fulfills it fulfills our role. Now we're going into an Adamant Edge, just for some more power and health, just kind of amplify, try to do what we're doing, what we're focusing on a little bit better. Guys, Steel has a really good potential for initiating, dealing some great damage, and then all of a sudden turning it around and being super duper tanky as well. So that's what we're trying to go for here, and that is, as you can see, it's working out fairly well so far. Make sure to land your ults. Make sure to peel for your backline. Those two things, very, very important. Now, with some more CP, you can go into more of a supportive, tanky role. We've gotten rid of our Empyrean Mask for the Barrier of Will. Obviously, that shield's very important. Dually Apostle into the ultimate to delete this Revenant. As you can see, that damage potential is great. Now we just go into a front line, trying to do our thing here, and just get in the way, try to help out our team or peel for them, depending on which. So I do use the Barrier of Will here at some point, as my team here, yeah, there you go. I was at that point when they were kind of converging on us, and we kind of do some pretty good things here. Now, we also have Thick Blood. Now, why do we get Thick Blood as a steal? Well, when you engage, when you initiate, that is your job. You pick steal because you have to initiate. That is your thing. You hit the enemy with that ultimate, that very powerful ultimate, and then what's the enemy support probably going to do? Probably hit that quenching scales because you did a whole bunch of damage, or Barrier of Will, something like that. That Thick Blood will reduce that immensely, and also you can then follow it up with a Bull Rush to hit a target, to try to isolate them, hit them out of position, try to add, layer on that CC. That then reduces any healing done to them, especially in this phase meta. I think Thick Blood on Steel at all the support really has some good potential with him, and we're going to try that out here and do that. Also, we have Thermobond. Why Thermobond? Well, he initiates really hard, and it's really easy for him to be the center of attention. All of that crowd control that they want to put on you to take you out is only just helping out your tankiness, getting that health back. At this point, you are just getting health, and look at this sweet opportunity right there. There's an opportunity right there that for me to have gone in, but I was hesitating. I was just, when you have Dually Apostle just ready to go, you're just like, oh man, I gotta make this work. I gotta make this work, and that's just part of it. As an initiator, that's your job. So you get paid the big bucks, and you know, you just gotta make. I think I do get a really good. Do I get one? I think I do. Here you, yes, I do. So there you go. Look at that damage on that phase. You look at all of that, just gets obliterated. At this point, you are trying to get that health here on the Guardian's Ward. A ton of health on that, and then as much health as possible on everything else. So I think there's health on the Thermobond, and then there's a ton of basic armor on this Barrier of Will. There's not much ability armor because, well, you get a ton of it. You can see our stacks are still at 4 after all of that. I mean, you generate them pretty quick. So there's not much of any ability armor on the build, but a ton of basic. You can become an insane tank. Remember, always getting that health first, because that is what increases your EHP the most a lot of the time. So, yeah, he is a beast. This build here hopefully tries to emphasize his whole nature. Heavy initiator with great value in that, with the Teleblink and the Jewel of the Apostle, into with some utility with the Thick Blood, just because that's usually the enemy's response to a heavy steel engagement, and then into a good tank, which is just monstrous. So let's take a look at those final upgrades here that I didn't get in this deck. So yes, there is ton of health here on the Thermobond. That Divine Barrier is just there to help mitigate ability pen. You know, if you don't have your stacks, I mean, you really don't want to just get completely obliterated. So there is that Divine Barrier just for that. Otherwise, tons of health, tons of guard, so that you can just ultimate tank. So you can engage hard. And the reason why you picked Steel is because that if you get that initiation, your team can clean up. That's why you pick Steel, right? Steel into a Decker Cage, into a Gideon ult, you know, that is why you pick Steel. So if you can do that, then crazy value. Then you just become frontline with some good Thick Blood in there to hit the key targets that you want to mitigate, stuff like that. So really cool. Thermobond, Barrier of Will, Teleblink, Jewel of the Apostle, Thick Blood, and this Guardian's Ward. ladies and gentlemen, please let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this deck. What do you think about this guide? Anything I was missing? Anything that you could maybe help anybody out watching and trying to learn from this video? Please like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, guys, please, as Steel is in a pretty good spot right now in my opinion. And of course, guys, subscribe. You guys like this content, especially if you found it useful. I would really, really love to be able to help you in the future. Until next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.